a world divided, seeds of conflict. The world was a fragile place in the aftermath of World War I. The Treaty of Versailles, meant to ensure peace, instead bred resentment and instability. Germany, burdened by crippling reparations and territorial losses, seethed with anger. Economic depression gripped many nations, fueling desperation and nationalism. In this cauldron of discontent, extremist ideologies like Nazism in Germany and fascism in Italy found fertile ground. Led by charismatic but ruthless dictators, these movements promised strength and prosperity through expansion and conquest. Their ambitions, fueled by a toxic mix of nationalism and racial superiority, threatened the delicate balance of power in Europe. Meanwhile, in the East, a resurgent Japan, driven by its own imperial ambitions, sought to establish dominance in Asia. The League of Nations, formed to prevent another global conflict, proved powerless to address these growing threats. The seeds of a new and even more devastating war were sown. As the 1930s progressed, the world watched with growing apprehension. The storm clouds of war gathered on the horizon, threatening to engulf humanity once again in a maelstrom of violence and destruction. The storm breaks from Poland to Pearl Harbor. The uneasy peace shattered on September 1st, 1939, when Nazi Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, unleashed its Blitzkrieg, or lightning war, upon Poland. This brutal and swift invasion marked the beginning of World War II. Great Britain and France, bound by treaty to defend Poland, declared war on Germany 2 days later. The German war machine, fueled by tanks, planes, and a doctrine of relentless attack, proved unstoppable in the early days of the war. Poland fell quickly, followed by Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and finally France. By June 1940, just months after the war began, Germany dominated most of continental Europe. In the Pacific, Japan, allied with Germany and Italy in the Axis powers, made its own aggressive moves. Seeking to secure resources and expand its empire, Japan launched a surprise attack on the US naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, on December 7, 1941. The attack, which killed over 2,400 Americans and destroyed or damaged much of the US Pacific Fleet, shocked the American public and galvanized the nation for war. With the entry of the United States into the conflict, the war expanded into a truly global struggle, pitting the Axis powers of Germany, Japan, and Italy against the Allied forces led by Great Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union. The world braced for a long and bloody conflict. A continent at war. The Eastern Front explodes. In June 1941, Hitler broke his pact with Stalin and unleashed the full fury of the German war machine on the Soviet Union. Operation Barbarossa, as the invasion was codenamed, was the largest military operation in history, involving millions of troops battling across a vast front spanning thousands of miles. The fighting on the Eastern Front was brutal and unforgiving, driven by a combination of ideological hatred and strategic necessity. The Germans waged a war of annihilation against the Soviet people. The Soviets, caught off guard by the initial German assault, nonetheless fought back with ferocious determination. The Battle of Stalingrad, which raged for 6 months in 1942 and 1943, became a turning point in the war. This epic clash, fought amidst the rubble of a shattered city, resulted in staggering losses on both sides. The Soviet victory at Stalingrad marked the beginning of the end for Germany's ambitions in the East. The Eastern Front would ultimately claim the lives of tens of millions of soldiers and civilians, making it the deadliest theater of the war. The sacrifices made by the Soviet people in resisting the Nazi onslaught played a pivotal role in the eventual Allied victory.